What's up, Taiwan? Good evening. I'm Leslie Liao with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has displaced millions of people. Our reporter, Rick Glaurt, is in eastern Poland. He's in the city of Lublin, which is a major center for refugees fleeing the war and for humanitarian aid entering Ukraine. Rick reports on how Polish border towns are straining under the weight of the Ukrainians flooding into the region.
This is Lublin, a major city in eastern Poland. With a population of 330,000, it's got a long history of being caught between the powers of Europe. Now, it's a major hub for those fleeing the conflict in neighboring Ukraine. As the war enters its second month, the number of refugees fleeing across the border from Poland has passed 2 million. Towns like this along the east of Poland are swelling in population, while the humanitarian response has largely been stepped up to meet their needs, especially due to international support. Local leaders are warning that the cities are reaching the capacity of what they can do and encouraging other countries in Europe to do more to accept the displaced people. But Ukrainians in these border towns and cities don't want to go further. They want to stay here, closer to home, so that if things change, they can go back as soon as possible.
More now on the plane crash in southern China. Hundreds of rescue personnel have arrived at the site of the accident in Guangxi. So far, there are no signs of survivors. Stash Butler reports.
CCTV cameras capture a plane plunging almost vertically from the sky. And in the immediate aftermath, thick smoke rises from the hills in China's Guangxi province. China Eastern Airlines flight MU5735 from Kunming to Guangzhou was carrying 132 people when it went down on Monday. Search and rescue efforts have been complicated by the difficult terrain.
这里是一个三面环山的那个山坳没有现场没有通电，照明情况非常的差。
Rescuers arrived to find a hillside strewn with wreckage. As local fire staff joined the recovery efforts through the night, family members of the people on board gathered at Guangzhou Airport, waiting for their worst fears to be confirmed. One man says his colleague was on the flight.
通知他的家属，然后的话就是告诉他，一个真实的情况。他的母亲，首先呢，他不相信这件事情，因为他的儿子也就29岁。对。
Flight data shows that the plane suddenly dropped from almost 30,000 feet. Right now, the cause of the crash is unclear. The Boeing 737 plane was only about 7 years old. Many questions about the crash remain unanswered, and for the families of those on board, the agonizing wait for news continues. Alex Chen and Stash Butler for TaiwanPlus.
Japan is planning to release wastewater from the Fukushima nuclear plant into the sea. A Taiwanese team of experts is heading to the plant to learn more. Large tanks at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant contain water that was used to cool the reactors after an earthquake and tsunami in 2011 caused a meltdown. Now, Japan is planning to release over 1 million tons of that water into the sea next spring. That's because the tanks are running out of space. Tokyo says the water has been treated and that releasing it into the sea will not impact human health. But local officials and neighboring countries are against the idea. That's because there are no plans to remove the radioactive isotope tritium from the water before it's dumped into the sea. The Taiwanese team heading to Japan will have access to the plant to learn more about how they will treat the wastewater. Taiwan's Atomic Energy Council is also setting up a monitoring system to check the seawater every day. They say it will be ready later in the year. Food prices in Taiwan are on the rise, and now the government is looking for ways to keep those prices in check. Food prices in February were up 5.3% over the previous year. That's more than double the overall inflation rate of 2.36%. The Council of Agriculture now wants to extend a 3-month business tax exemption on imported soybeans, corn, and wheat. The exemption was introduced in early February when farmers complained that a national shortage of eggs was caused by higher animal feed prices. Agriculture Minister Chen Ji-zong says keeping the prices of these staples down will in turn help stabilize the price of eggs, chicken, and pork.
会跟行政院极力的来争取，因为那是财政部的一个权责，让这些主要的饲料的营业税从4月底为零，再往后至少延2个月。
At the beginning of the COVID pandemic, Taiwan was desperate for vaccines, but now it's going to actually throw them away. Nearly 750,000 doses are set to expire by the end of the month. The Central Epidemic Command Center says 340,000 Moderna doses and 70,000 Pfizer-BioNTech doses will expire this week. Another 312,000 doses of AstraZeneca will expire at the end of the month. The center is urging people who have not yet been vaccinated to get a jab as soon as possible. Close to 80% of the country's population has already received 2 doses of a COVID vaccine, and almost half have received a booster shot. Taiwanese Olympians Liao and Wang Qiling captivated the nation last summer, winning Taiwan's first ever gold medals in badminton by defeating China. But they didn't get there alone. Their coach Chen Hongling knows what it takes to make a champion. Here's his story.
教练跟选手最大差别就是，选手训练完，一般我们之前选手训练完就是休息，就是做自己的事情。教练其实主要是你训练完之后，还有一堆行政，比如说一些计划，然后报名，然后还有一些对手一些研究，然后还有一些比如说行政作业，比如出国，很多大大小小的事情。其实每一项技术或是东西都是每天不断训练累积而成的。 我觉得会继续下去的一部分原因，应该也是当初成绩还算不错，就是虽然不一定是冠军，但就是至少是在全国前3、前4这样。就比赛来说，不管是谁都不可能从第一场赢到最后一场，或是整年度都在赢球。因为当初我们出去的时候，是真的从头到尾一直输，也不知道什么状况，反正出去输到最后也有点麻痹吧，就是觉得啊，反正一年都输这么多场，没有差这一场。 对，就已经慢慢习惯这种输，但是我们当然会想要赢，想要办法去解决，但是有时候是没办法那么快，短时间内没办法找到这种方法。因为你手先伸，球拍就不会那么利了。因为每个教练的思维或者是打法，或是他想要的模式，会影响到就是你怎么去选材。它会越来越快嘛，第一颗是这样。 对啊，因为技术来讲，这真的是蛮抽象，而且每个人会有每个人的想法、那特点，所以不是说我今天教他，他就一定要复制我的技术，他可以从我讲的东西去创新他的东西，那变成他自己的东西。 因为其实大家一定是基本上只注意金牌啦，银牌可能过说不定2、3个月后，已经忘了银牌是谁。对，就算是金牌，可能也只有在那个时间内会记得，久了之后，大家还是会去慢慢去淡忘。像以奥运来讲，奥运4年才一次，下一个4年你也不知道在哪里，你也不知道还能站在那个球场上，因为运动员很多意外，可能会受伤，就是会有一些巅峰啊什么之类，这种情况太多。 那你更要去拿到这个成绩，那我觉得是需要一些天时地利人。只要能够站在球场上，都是努力了10几20年才有办法站在那上面。这次奥运男双就可以拿到金牌，那以前是不可能有去想到这个东西，甚至要拿个牌。 大家都觉得啊，这个不太可能，遥不可及。但是现在已经有人去做到这件事情，那势必后面的一些年轻的选手会想说，既然他可以，我们有人做得到，那我们是不是也可以？所以变成他们的方向跟目标可能会越来越大，会想说我也想要去冲冲看。这对于我们来讲可能也是一件好事，就是教练可以找到更多有企图心、有潜力的一些选手。
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Leslie Liao. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, to mark the arrival of spring, we leave you with some images of visitors flocking to a Mexican archaeological site to welcome the spring equinox. Take care and see you next time.